Hello Cancer, and welcome to Embrace the Moon Tarot and your July 2017 reading. So I was just sitting here thinking about those of you who may stumble upon this video, and I just got an overall sense of excited anticipation. And I feel that it's the type of excitement that comes when you feel that something is about to happen, but it goes beyond, that something's about to happen. And I feel like it has to do with maybe some plans that have already been put into play, and you know that it is going to occur this month. Either way, just excited. And that is what you're focused on. You are focused on this, come what may. So, yeah, that's kind of how you're ending June. Just feels like you don't, whatever June may or may not have delivered, you've already moved on. You're excited about whatever that is that's coming up. So let's see what sort of vibrations and energies you can anticipate for the month of July 2017. Current energy, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, strength, possible obstacle, recent past, and potential future. So in the recent past, so pretty close towards the end of the month of June, you went through a time period where you were analyzing some specific aspects of your life, and you were choosing things that you were going to walk away from, releasing. And I don't really feel that this is anything that is deep or mind-blowing, or you had this spiritual awakening as a result of this. This physical thing happened as a result of this. I feel that for most of you, it was just, life went on and these topics came up and you decided, you know what, I'm not going to give that energy anymore. And you didn't. And even though it wasn't some profound revelation, it still was important enough to bring up, because whenever we decide to walk away from something, usually that means we're on the cusp of making some changes, going through transition, defining who we are, being comfortable with who we are. All this kind of plays a part. And so it doesn't really matter if these were profound revelations that made you decide you were going to walk away from these aspects, or whereas in your case, I feel that a lot of you, it was more you just decided, you know what, I'm just not doing that anymore. I'm just not going to be bothered by that anymore. I'm just not going to let that impact me anymore. And I feel that as soon as you made this decision, you made it happen. It wasn't something you had to think about. It wasn't something you had to do some deep soul searching regarding. You made the decision and then you did it. So I feel that that is something that happened in the very recent past, and I feel that it was very much in those last few days of June for the bulk of you. Some of it may have been slightly earlier than that, but for the most of you, I feel it was something towards the end of June. Just decided, yep, I'm done with that. And as a result of that, your current energy is Six of Wands. And I feel that this definitely represents that personal victory. Again, I like I said, the aspects and the issues that arose that you decided to walk away from weren't profound in the sense that people are going to be like, wow, that person, you've really made a change. They're very subtle, but they were profound internally. They're profound to you. And they've created some personal victories that you have, that you feel like you can finally relax and ride the wave that comes with making those decisions and following through, like just as simple as that. And yeah, like I said, for the most part, I don't feel that these, like I said, took a lot of deep soul-searching kinds of thought processes. This is just kind of riding with the wave. You know, you had a moment of thought, you made a choice, and you went with it. And like I said, your current energy is just kind of riding with that wave, riding with these small victories that are internal, but they're important. They are those victories that help us define who we are, and then they take us to bigger and better choices. They may lead us to more profound choices, but they're the stepping stones that give us the strength and the agility for those larger releases, which I feel is sort of showing up in your physical realm, which is represented by the Death card. And this is very much that releasing and let go. This is the releasing and walk away from on a much more profound level than the Eight of Cups. This is the sort of letting go that occurs when you make a decision during a sunset, and then the sunrise is just much more vibrant as a result of it. It's much more profound. As a whole, it's just much more profound. So I feel that, like I said, this was just kind of a stepping stone that gives you the strength and the agility for the following stepping stones, the ones that are going to continue to come. And in the month of July, you're going to have more of these sort of profound revelations. They're going to be more profound as you ride this wave of these decisions to make these choices. You're going to come up against more things that you're going to feel, this doesn't serve me anymore. I'm done with this. This doesn't fulfill me. This drains me. This doesn't make me happy. You're going to be making some changes, and these are the sorts of changes that eventually someone's going to notice that you are changing. Especially those who are really close, and probably more so the ones who are really close, because they're not drastic changes like changing the color of your hair or deciding to get a new job. These are internal changes, but they're going to be manifesting who you are and how you feel more defined personally as a result of these changes. So you'll go from riding the wave to creating the wave for these changes. And mentally, I feel this is carried on into the mental, because this is represented by the Lover's card, and I feel that you're going to be, that wave is going to help you to make deeper connections. And those deeper connections are going to be the larger stepping stones that require the agility that I was speaking of, that you're helped in getting when you've made those minor choices. So there's going to be these very profound connections that you make in your mind as far as defining who you are and what you want in life. And who you want in life. Who you want in your life. And how that connection can help make you a better person. So whenever you're thinking, you're considering these connections, and you're deciding which ones you no longer serve you, they're not acts of selfishness. They're not acts of forgetting people who have served you well or who have helped you. They are acts of kindness to yourself. Acts of love to yourself. So you are basically going to be going through this process of really reviewing what it is that really makes you happy, what it is that makes you feel as though your comfort zone is actually comfortable. And when you choose to leave your comfort zone, you have a safe and secure place to return to. These connections are going to help you to lay the groundwork and help you to disconnect and release whatever it is that's not really fulfilling you anymore. So I feel like there were choices that you have made. Probably, it feels like within the last 3 months, there are certain paths that you have chosen to come down. There are certain connections, certain people you have been associating with, certain thought processes that you have been associating yourself with. And some of the minor connections that you made at the end of June, that's represented in the 8 of Cups, as I said, were the stepping stones that are going to give you the strength and the power and the agility for when you come up on those bigger stepping stones. That's going to require you to release and walk away from things that don't serve you in your life right now or anymore. And it's the sort of release and walking away from that you will never return to. Like, you recognize the fact that it's nothing that you want as part of your life anymore. So mentally, you're going to be taking the time to really get a sense of these connections and the ones that actually are nurturing you. And as a result of how you perceive these connections and the ones that are not healthy connections, you'll be able to disconnect appropriately, and it'll be easier for you to walk away from those ones that no longer serve you. You will no longer feed those connections, which in sense they will die as a result of it, and it's a good thing. It's kind of like pruning your trees during certain seasons, so that the parts of the trees that are healthy can get more nutrients, because you're not feeding the branches and the limbs that aren't going to produce anything anymore. So that's sort of what you're going through. So the mental and the physical were very, very related. And it began, like I said, it began back in June. Those minor decisions that you made that really aren't visible to other people because they were just couple casual thought processes that you realize, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not giving that energy anymore. And you've been riding that wave, and as a result of it, it's kind of started this snowball effect. And mentally, you're going to really start considering some of the connections that you have, those really deep, profound connections, and recognizing those, like I said, that feed you, and those that do not, and those that do not nurture you. And I feel that this has to do in the physical realm with people who you perceive are not benefiting your life. They're not helping you become better. They're not supporting you to grow and expand. And this is always really tough, because we're connected with people for a reason. We've made these connections for a reason. So we've created these relationships for a reason. And so when we get to a point where we grow and they don't, it's really hard to create these disconnections because of the ties that we have with them. But the truth is, when we start to grow, if you want to promote that growth, if you want to feed that growth, if you want to feed the transition, you have to make sure that you're surrounded by what feeds that transition, which means you have to untether that which keeps you from growing, keeps you from expanding. So I feel that this particular part in your life, you started the process and you don't even know it. And I don't feel that you're going to recognize, even though you're going to get this reading, I don't feel like you're going to really, it's not going to resonate in the beginning of July. This is something, like I said, the minor decisions were made towards the end of June, and they were casual, and they were so casual that you're not going to recognize what you started as a result of this, the transitions that you began with these particular minor casual choices, until further into July. End of this first week, going into the second week, I feel is when many of you are going to start recognizing this transition that you're going through. And you're going to start pondering these things. And as a result of it, you're going to realize the changes that you want to make. And like I said, stepping stones for more power, more strength, and more agility. And as a result of it, there are people who you realize don't nurture the expansion and the way you're going, the path you have decided to take. And those are the people that you don't have to cut them off. You don't have to never speak to them again. But it's going to change your relationship with those people. And that's I believe that's what's going to be happening in the physical realm. That's the people, these particular people, groups of people, and for very few of you, it's going to be your perceptions. I feel some of you, it's politically based. There's going to be a shift in some of your political thoughts. And as a result of it, some of the people that you used to have conversations with regarding politics, they're going to hold to their beliefs that you used to share with them. And as a result of it, the connection that you have is going to be untethered. So the mind-body connection, the mind-physical connection is very intertwined this month for you. And these shifts that are happening, the connections you're going to recognize and the connections you're going to want to disconnect are going to play a part in the people you surround yourself with. So, emotionally, there's a bit of a struggle because you have the Hangman, but it's upside down. And the Hangman is supposed to be, the correct way is supposed to be, the Hangman is supposed to be upside down, and with the card being upside down, he's not. And I feel that emotionally, you're going to come up, and I feel that this is not connected to this at all. So the mind-body connection and the shifts that are occurring here are somewhat unrelated with the emotional aspect, but something's going to occur, and I feel this is more towards the third week. For some of you, it may not be until the fourth week of July, but there are some of you that are going to have something occur, a block, a wall in your emotional life, and as a result of that, you're going to be required to change your perception on that particular, very specific relationship. The problem is you're going to struggle against that. You're going to not want to flip yourself around and see it from a different point of view. But if you refuse to do that, you're never going to experience the aha moment that it's providing for you. So keep that in mind when you come up against that stumbling block, when you come up against that wall in your emotional life, that if you're fighting it, that wall will never come down. So you need to do what it takes to allow yourself to see it from a different perspective so you can work through that. As far as your soul, I feel this is more not spiritually per se as far as religion is concerned, or from the concept of religion and spirituality. I feel this is more spiritual as far as your soul and your soul's bliss. And I feel that despite some of the things that are going to be happening, and this feels, obviously this is emotional, and even though this is going to be physical and mental, it has ties with emotional because of the connection with the people and the disconnects you're going to be creating. The soul itself, how you feel regarding your soul, your life here on Your soul's purpose. It feels like you are going to feel very grounded. It's the sort of a security that comes with all the puzzle pieces being where they needed to be. And, you know, you just have to take your time maybe once in a while to nestle in the next puzzle piece, and then you can go on with your life. But you feel that you are stable and secure and content. Like there's a contentment within your personal bliss in relationship to your soul. So despite some of the upheaval and the disconnection, what have you, that you're going through, and this kind of complete contentment that comes with feeling like you are serving your personal bliss does have a relationship to this and that, because of the contentment and making the changes and creating the disconnects and walking away from specific things. You're actually feeding your soul's bliss. So there's a contentment and a grounding that has occurred within that deep internal part of yourself, and as a result of that, that's one of the reasons why you feel so confident in making these decisions that went from casual to a lot deeper. So as far as internally, you're going to feel fairly solid throughout the month of July, despite some of the disconnections that you're going to be choosing to make. And it's going to help feed your strength in some of the disconnects as a result of it. And even despite this wall that you're going to come up against emotionally, you're still going to feel that all is well as far as deep internally. Your strength for the month is the 5 of Cups. And it's still very, very much connected in that, because of you having gotten on riding this wave and recognizing how to feed your soul's bliss, how to continue to feed that contentment and grounding that you feel deep internally, and making the casual and then the more profound disconnections, your strength is going to be, and the contentment that you get and how it feeds your understanding of walking away from what no longer serves you, recognizing the losses and recognizing how leaving them actually makes you stronger. And it's not that you're not going to, some of these disconnects, they're not going to be all simple. It's not just, the more profound ones are not going to be as easy as the casual ones, where you're going to suddenly think, I'm not going to do this, and then you're going to walk away. You'll have those moments of, oh, you know what? That no longer serves me, or I'm no longer going to feed that energy. But the disconnect can be a little harder to manifest. But your strength is going to be your follow through, understanding what doesn't serve you, understanding the loss that has occurred, understanding how it doesn't nurture you and therefore give you the ability to be able to walk away. And it's just that feeding into that stability that you're going to have deep within yourself. They're going to feed each other, and it's going to really help you continue to ride that wave and create the wave to be able to make those connections and recognize what doesn't serve you. Possible obstacle is Ace of Coins. So I feel that there's going to be some of you that's going to experience something new at work. For some of you, I feel that it's a job opportunity, and the job opportunity is going to feel disruptive to this wave that you have been, that you were riding and then creating. Because it's going to require you to use the energy that you were using before on creating and disconnecting where you needed to, and pondering whether or not this is something that you want to have in your life, whether you want this new change, whether you want this promotion. And then for others, I feel that there are people who are going to be, there's a position that is empty at your workplace, and there are people who are going to fill that position, and it's not going to be a smooth transition. It is somebody, for some of you, it is somebody who you are going to perceive should not have gotten the job. And I don't know if it's because you were hoping for the job, or if it's just because it is someone who is going to have an impact on your position at your workplace that you feel shouldn't have that much power over you when considering who they are and what their qualifications are. But this change is going to create this undertow, an undercurrent, which can impact this wave that you have been riding, and making it slightly rough, and maybe knocking your focus off slightly, and making it hard for you to continue the momentum that you started and continuing the change so that you're serving yourself better. So just be mindful when you recognize this come into play. Try not to give it too much focus. Try not to let it ripple in and create its own wave that disrupts the wave that you've been working with. Try to continue to work on yourself and adjust accordingly. And I'd say really go back to yourself internally and that foundation and grounding that you already have, to help you stay grounded so that this doesn't impact the growth and expansion you've already created. And I feel that this is more towards the end of the month. This is more towards, again, third, fourth week of July. And for some of you, it is connected with that wall emotionally that you're going to come up with. Not everyone. There are some that it's connected and there are some that are not. But because it is a potential obstacle, you need to do what it takes to make sure that its undertow doesn't suck you under and pull you away from this energy that you've been created to help yourself, so that you can be more grounded and more focused and become better as to who you are and serving yourself better. So the potential outcome is the Knight of Coins, and I feel that this has to do with grounding. So the potential outcome for the month of July for you is, if you don't let this disrupt your personal flow, you can really get to a solid footing and understanding this new side of yourself that you've decided you want to really break through. These choices, the small ripples to the big ripples, the small releases to the larger releases, the connections that you've made that are really deep. You have the potential of ending July, where when all of this settles down and that wave finally settles down and you're done riding it and you get on solid ground, you can really look back and ponder where you've come from and where you are. And you can have a very clear understanding of how much this makes you happier, or makes you feel more grounded. And whenever we are at that level of happiness and contentment, it's so much easier to deal with other aspects of our life, especially work related. But it all depends on how much you allow this to create an undercurrent that can disrupt your personal flow of creating these changes. And if you manage to ride this out correctly, once you end the month getting back on solid ground, I feel that there's a treasure trove for yourself, and it's all going to be internal. It's all going to be a recognition of this growth that you have undergone and how much it has served you. And having that clarity of mind will help you in understanding what it is that you want to do regarding the impact of this. And for some of you, it may be a bigger change, and for others, I feel that it'll help you to cope and deal with whatever this undercurrent will create. So let's go look at some overall energy, a motto or mantra that you can carry with you through the month of July. I feel that, like I said, I feel that the first half of the month you're going to be riding this wave. You're going to be making these connections. You're going to be really feeling the control that you are creating. And in the second half of the month, I feel like you're going to kind of come up against some stumbling blocks. But I feel like you have the potential of not letting it disrupt your flow and being able to come out a winner in a very personal sense of the word. But, you know, sometimes those personal wins are huge, right? So I'm just going to look at, I'm going to pull a card to kind of give you a mantra or focal point as you work through probably more so the end of the month, but the month as a whole. Let's see if we can get a card that will really kind of pull it all together and allow you to carry it with you. Magic happens when you most expect it. And this is just letting you know that what you want to happen, you make happen. And if you don't put the energy in making magic happen, it's not going to happen. So if you don't put the right energy in the right aspects as you go through this month, then the magic that you're hoping to finish the month with is not going to come to pass. You're not going to experience it. You're not going to see it. But the truth is, you can see the magic happen. You can make it work. You can start and finish. You can start this process and see it to full fruition towards the end of the month. And everything that you anticipate, these changes that you start, has the potential of being exactly how you want it to be. But you have to do it. You have to make the magic. Create your expectations, create the magic to fulfill those expectations, and it will happen. All right, so that is all I have for you for the month of July. Thank you so much for allowing me to do this reading for you, and I hope I will see you again in August.